I stood in the doorway of the house I bought for my daughter 10 years ago, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Victoria was on her hands and knees, scrubbing the marble floor of the entrance hall. Her hair was tied back in a messy bun, and she wore a plain grey dress that looked more like a uniform than regular clothes. But what made my heart stop was the man sitting on the leather couch in the living room. He was watching her work while he talked on his phone, his feet up on the coffee table like he owned the place. "Victoria," I said, my voice shaking. She looked up, and her face went white. The scrub brush fell from her hand and clattered on the floor. For a second, I thought she might faint. "Dad?" she whispered. Then her eyes got wide with fear, and she quickly looked at the man on the couch. The man ended his phone call and stood up. He was younger than me, maybe 40 years old, with slicked back hair and an expensive suit. He walked over with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You must be Henry," he said, holding out his hand. "I'm Nathaniel Ross, Victoria's husband. She's told me so much about you." Husband? My daughter was married? And why was she scrubbing floors in her own house? Before we continue, please tell us where you're watching from, so we know how far our stories reach, and subscribe to the channel to help us grow. Let me take you back to where this nightmare really started. 10 years ago, I was offered a job opportunity I couldn't refuse. An engineering firm in Singapore wanted me to lead a major infrastructure project. The contract was for 5 years, with an option to extend. The pay was incredible, 3 times what I made in the States. My wife, Patricia, had passed away 2 years before that, from cancer. Victoria was 18 and had just started college. She was studying business at the State University, and she was doing great. Smart as a whip, that girl. She had her mother's brain and my stubborn determination. Before I left for Singapore, I sat Victoria down in our small apartment. "Baby girl," I said, "this job is going to change our lives. I'm going to work hard for 5 years, save every penny I can, and when I come back, we'll be set for life." She hugged me tight. "I know, Dad. I'll be fine. I've got my dorm, my friends, and I'll call you every week." I did more than just save money. I sent Victoria funds for her tuition, her living expenses, everything she needed. And 3 years into my contract, I had saved enough to buy her a house, not a mansion, but a nice 3-bedroom home in a good neighborhood. I wanted her to have security, a place of her own when she graduated. "Dad, you didn't have to do this," she said on our video call when I told her about the house. She was crying happy tears. "You're all I've got, Victoria. Your mom would want you taken care of. The house is in your name. It's yours, completely paid off." Our weekly calls were the highlight of my time in Singapore. She told me about her classes, her friends, and her plans after graduation. She wanted to start her own marketing business. She was 21 then, full of dreams and ambition. Then about 4 years ago, she mentioned she had met someone. "His name is Nathaniel," she said on our video call. Her face was glowing. "He's a financial consultant. Dad, he's so smart. He's been helping me understand investments and business planning." I was happy for her. She was 24, old enough to date. "How old is this Nathaniel?" I asked. 36, she said. "I know that seems old, but Dad, age is just a number. He treats me like a queen." I didn't love the age gap, but I trusted Victoria's judgment. She was smart. She could take care of herself. That's what I thought anyway. "Just be careful, baby girl," I said. "Take your time getting to know him." "I will, Dad. Don't worry." For the next year, Victoria's calls became less frequent. She said she was busy with work. She had graduated and was trying to get her marketing business off the ground. Nathaniel was helping her, she said. When we did talk, she seemed distracted, always cutting our conversations short. "Is everything okay?" I asked her during one call. "Everything's fine, Dad. I'm just stressed with work. Nathaniel says I need to focus more, that's all." "What do you mean, focus more?" "He just means I should spend less time on distractions and more time building the business. He's right. I need to be more disciplined." Something about the way she said it bothered me. But I was thousands of miles away. What could I do? Then about 2 years ago, the calls stopped completely. I would call her phone and it would go straight to voicemail. I sent emails that went unanswered. I sent messages through social media, but her accounts had been deleted. I was terrified. I called the local police in her city, but they said Victoria was an adult and there was no evidence of a crime. They did a wellness check and reported that she was fine, living in her house with her fiancé. Fiancé? She hadn't told me they were engaged. I tried to leave Singapore early, but breaking my contract would have cost me a fortune in penalties, and I was locked in for 6 more months. Those were the longest 6 months of my life. I sent letters to her house. No response. I tried calling Nathaniel's business number, but he never returned my calls. Finally, 3 weeks ago, my contract ended. I booked the first flight home. I didn't tell Victoria I was coming because I didn't have a way to reach her. I took a taxi straight from the airport to her house, the house I had bought her. That's when I found her scrubbing the floor like a servant in her own home. Now, standing in that entrance hall, I stared at Nathaniel Ross with his fake smile and his expensive suit. "When did you two get married?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "About a year ago," Nathaniel said smoothly. "Small ceremony. Victoria wanted to keep it simple. You know how she is." I didn't know how she was anymore. The girl I left 10 years ago would never have gotten married without telling her father. Victoria stood up slowly. She wouldn't look at me. "Dad, you should have called before coming," she said quietly. "I tried calling for 2 years, Victoria. You never answered." "I lost my phone," she said quickly. Too quickly. "I've been meaning to get a new one." "For 2 years." Nathaniel put his arm around Victoria's shoulders. She flinched slightly, but he didn't seem to notice. Or maybe he did and didn't care. "Henry, why don't you come in and sit down?" Nathaniel said. "We have a lot to catch up on. Victoria, honey, could you make us some coffee?" "Honey?" And he was telling her to make coffee like she was a waitress. "Actually," I said, my anger rising, "I'd like to talk to my daughter alone." Nathaniel's smile disappeared. "That's not going to work for me, Henry. Victoria and I don't keep secrets from each other. Whatever you want to say to her, you can say in front of me. I'm her father. I don't need your permission. And I'm her husband. This is our house. This house is in Victoria's name. I bought it for her." Nathaniel's eyes went cold. "Things change. Victoria signed the house over to me after we got married. It's a joint asset now. Legally, I have every right to decide who comes and goes." I looked at Victoria. "Is that true? You put his name on the house?" She nodded, still not meeting my eyes. It made sense. "For tax purposes." "Tax purposes?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Victoria, what's going on? Why are you scrubbing floors? Why are you dressed like that?" "Dad, please," she whispered. "Can we not do this right now?" "Do what?" I just flew 20 hours to see you after 2 years of silence, and I find you living like—" I didn't get to finish my sentence. Nathaniel stepped between us. "I think you need to leave, Henry. You're upsetting my wife. I'm not going anywhere until I talk to my daughter. Then I'll call the police." "Call them. I'd love to explain to them why my daughter is dressed like a maid in the house I bought her." Nathaniel pulled out his phone, but before he could dial, Victoria grabbed his arm. "Wait," she said. "Please, Nathaniel, let me talk to him. Just 5 minutes." "Please." Nathaniel looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. 5 minutes. I'll be in the study. If he raises his voice again, I'm calling the police." He walked away, and I finally got close to Victoria. Up close, I could see she had lost weight. There were dark circles under her eyes. "Baby girl, what happened to you?" I asked softly. She looked toward the study, making sure Nathaniel was gone. Then she grabbed my arm. Her grip was desperate, urgent. "Dad," she whispered, her voice shaking. "You need to leave and never come back. Please, if you love me, you'll get on a plane and go back to Singapore." "What? Victoria, I don't understand." Tears filled her eyes. "He's dangerous, Dad. More dangerous than you can imagine. If you try to help me, if you cause trouble, he'll—" She stopped, glancing again toward the study. "Just trust me. Leave and forget you saw me." "I'm not leaving you with him. Whatever's happening, we'll figure it out together. We'll go to the police." "No," she said, louder than she meant to. She lowered her voice again. "No police. That will make everything worse. Dad, please, I'm begging you." Before I could respond, Nathaniel appeared in the doorway of the study. "Time's up, Henry. Victoria has work to finish." I looked at my daughter, at the fear in her eyes, and I made a decision. I would leave, but not because Nathaniel wanted me to. I would leave to figure out what was really happening here and how to save my daughter from whatever nightmare she was trapped in. "Okay," I said. "I'll go." Victoria's shoulders sagged with relief, but also something else. Disappointment? Sadness? I walked toward the door, then turned back. "I'll be in town for a while, Victoria, staying at the Marriott downtown. Room 412. If you need anything at all, come find me." Nathaniel stepped forward. "She won't be needing anything, Henry. And if you come back here, I'll have you arrested for trespassing." I left the house, my mind racing. As I walked to my rental car, I noticed something I hadn't seen before. Across the street, a woman was watering her garden. She was watching me with curious eyes. When I looked at her, she quickly turned away. I got in my car, but I didn't start the engine right away. I sat there, staring at the house I had bought with love and pride, now a prison for my daughter. Through the front window, I could see Nathaniel talking to Victoria. He was pointing his finger at her face, and she was nodding, her head down. That's when I saw it. As Nathaniel turned away, Victoria looked out of the window. Our eyes met for just a second, and in that second, she mouthed 3 words that made my blood run cold. "He kills people." I sat in my rental car for 10 minutes, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. "He kills people." Those 3 words kept playing in my mind like a terrible song I couldn't stop hearing. Victoria's face in that window, the fear in her eyes, the way she formed those words, so carefully so Nathaniel wouldn't see. My daughter wasn't being dramatic. She wasn't exaggerating. She believed what she told me, and that meant I had to believe it too. I started the car and drove to the Marriott, but I couldn't focus. My mind was spinning with questions. Who had Nathaniel killed? Why? And how did Victoria know? More importantly, how was I going to save her when she had specifically warned me not to involve the police? At the hotel, I checked into my room and immediately opened my laptop. If Nathaniel Ross was a killer, there had to be evidence somewhere. I started with the basics, searching his name online. Nathaniel Ross, financial consultant. His website looked professional and clean. Testimonials from happy clients. A photo of him in a suit, smiling that same fake smile I'd seen in person. The business had been operating for 6 years. Before that, there was nothing. It was like Nathaniel Ross didn't exist before 6 years ago. That was my first real clue. People don't just appear out of nowhere at age 34. There should have been college records, previous jobs, something. I dug deeper, searching for any information about Nathaniel Ross before his consulting business started. Nothing. I tried searching for marriage records between Nathaniel and Victoria. Found them. They had gotten married 13 months ago at the courthouse. No big ceremony like Nathaniel had implied. Just a simple civil service with 2 witnesses I didn't recognize. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered it. "Mr. Henry Fletcher?" a woman's voice said. "Yes, who is this?" "My name is Dorothy Chambers. I live across the street from your daughter. I saw you at her house today." The woman who had been watering her garden. "Yes, I remember you. Can we meet? There are things you need to know about Nathaniel Ross, things the police won't tell you because they don't have proof." My heart started racing. "When and where?" "There's a coffee shop called Brewster's on Main Street. Can you meet me there in an hour?" "I'll be there." I arrived at Brewster's early and ordered a coffee I didn't drink. I was too nervous. Dorothy Chambers walked in exactly on time. She was in her 60s with grey hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She sat down across from me and got straight to the point. "Your daughter is in serious danger," she said. "I've been watching that house for over a year, and what I've seen terrifies me." "Tell me everything," I said. Dorothy took a deep breath. "Nathaniel Ross moved into your daughter's house about 3 years ago. At first, everything seemed normal. They looked like a happy couple. But then things started changing. Victoria stopped leaving the house except to buy groceries. Her friends stopped coming over. I used to see her jogging in the mornings. That stopped too." "When did you start getting concerned?" "About 2 years ago. I saw Nathaniel screaming at her in the driveway. Victoria was crying, apologizing for something. After that, I started paying more attention. I noticed the windows are always covered now. Victoria used to keep the curtains open. Now the whole house is dark, like a cave. Have you called the police?" Dorothy nodded sadly. 3 times. They did wellness checks. Each time, Victoria answered the door with Nathaniel standing right behind her. She told them everything was fine. The police can't do anything if the victim won't cooperate, and Victoria is too scared to tell them the truth. "She told me he kills people," I said quietly. Dorothy's face went pale. Then she finally said it out loud. "I suspected, but I wasn't sure." "What do you mean, you suspected?" Dorothy leaned forward. "Nathaniel Ross isn't his real name. About 18 months ago, I recognized him from a news story I saw years ago. It took me weeks to remember where I'd seen his face. But then it clicked. His real name is Nathan Rutherford. 8 years ago, he was engaged to a woman named Carolyn Hughes in Denver. She was a wealthy widow who owned 3 apartment buildings. They were together for about 2 years. What happened to her? She died in a car accident. Single-vehicle crash on a mountain road. The police investigated, found nothing suspicious. Nathan inherited everything because Carolyn had changed her will 2 months before she died. He sold all the properties and disappeared. That was 8 years ago. I felt sick. You think he killed her? I can't prove it. But listen to this. I did more research. Before Carolyn, there was another woman. Her name was Angela Brennan, from Seattle. She died 5 years before Carolyn. Also a single-vehicle car accident. Also had recently changed her will to leave everything to her boyfriend, a man named Nate Richardson. Same person? I'm almost certain. The photos are grainy, but the face is similar, and the pattern is identical. Find a vulnerable woman with money or property. Move in with her. Isolate her from friends and family. Marry her or get her to change her will. Then she dies in an accident, and he inherits everything and disappears. My hands were clenched into fists. Why hasn't anyone connected these cases? Different names, different states, years apart. Unless someone is specifically looking for the pattern, it's invisible. Each death looks like a tragic accident, and he's smart. He waits years between victims, builds a new identity each time, lives quietly, doesn't draw attention. Victoria isn't dead yet, I said. Why has he kept her alive for 3 years? Dorothy hesitated. I think he's waiting for something. Maybe he hasn't figured out how to access all her assets yet. Or maybe she serves some purpose. But Mr. Fletcher, based on the pattern, Victoria doesn't have much time left. Once he has what he wants, he'll stage an accident and move on to his next victim. I stood up, ready to storm back to that house and drag Victoria out by force if necessary. Dorothy grabbed my arm. Wait. If you go in there acting crazy, he'll get a restraining order against you. Then you won't be able to get anywhere near Victoria. You need to be smart about this. What do you suggest? Document everything. Gather evidence. Find the other victims' families. Build a case that's so strong the police have to investigate. But most importantly, you need to communicate with Victoria without Nathaniel knowing. She's the key to everything. She knows what he's done. She probably has evidence hidden somewhere. I sat back down. Dorothy was right. Going in with emotions blazing would only make things worse. How do I reach her without him knowing? That's the hard part. He monitors everything. Her phone, her computer, probably even her conversations. You saw how he was today. He doesn't let her out of his sight. There has to be a way. Dorothy thought for a moment. She goes grocery shopping every Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m. Nathaniel stays home. He lets her go alone because the store is only 6 blocks away, and he times her. If she's gone more than 45 minutes, he calls her phone constantly. But 45 minutes might be enough for you to talk to her. Today is Tuesday. I can wait 2 days. Be careful, Dorothy said. Nathaniel is dangerous, but he's also smart. If he suspects you're interfering, he'll accelerate his plans. He might kill Victoria sooner than he planned, or he might disappear with her, and you'll never see her again. We exchanged phone numbers, and Dorothy left. I went back to my hotel room and spent the rest of the day researching. I found Carolyn Hughes's obituary from Denver. Beautiful woman, 52 years old, died in a tragic accident. Survived by her sister and 2 nephews. Her fiancé, Nathan Rutherford, was mentioned in the obituary. I found the sister's name, Grace Hughes, and tracked her down on social media. She lived in Denver still. I sent her a message explaining who I was and why I was contacting her. I didn't expect a response right away, but 30 minutes later my phone rang. "Is this about Nathan?" a woman's voice asked. She sounded bored, defeated. "Yes. I think he's targeting my daughter now." Grace was quiet for a moment. "I knew Carolyn didn't die in an accident. I knew it in my bones. But the police said there was no evidence of foul play. Nathan got everything. The apartment buildings, her savings, her jewelry, everything. And then he vanished. Did your sister seem afraid of him before she died? The last time I saw Carolyn, about a month before the accident, she was different, quiet, jumpy. She kept looking at her phone like she expected bad news. I asked her if everything was okay with Nathan, and she said yes. But I didn't believe her. She wouldn't look me in the eye. Did she ever mention him threatening her? Not directly, but she said something strange. She said, "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident." I thought she was being paranoid. I wish I had listened. We talked for an hour. Grace gave me details about Nathan's behavior, his patterns, the way he had slowly taken control of Carolyn's life. It was exactly what was happening to Victoria. After I hung up with Grace, I tried to find Angela Brennan's family in Seattle. But I had less luck. Angela had been estranged from her family when she died. No one had pushed for further investigation. 2 victims I could confirm. Probably more I hadn't found yet. And now my Victoria was next on his list. Thursday couldn't come fast enough. I barely slept for 2 nights. I kept thinking about Victoria in that house, terrified, trapped with a serial killer. Every hour that passed felt like a year. Thursday morning, I drove to the grocery store at 2:30 p.m. and parked where I could see the entrance. At 2:58, Victoria's car pulled into the parking lot. She got out alone, wearing jeans and a sweater. She looked around nervously before going inside. I waited 5 minutes, then followed her in. I found her in the produce section, carefully selecting apples. I approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Victoria," I said softly. She jumped, nearly dropping the apples. When she saw it was me, relief and terror crossed her face in equal measure. "Dad, you can't be here. If he finds out..." "We have 45 minutes. That's enough time. Come with me right now. We'll get in my car, drive to the police station, and you'll tell them everything." She shook her head frantically. "You don't understand. He has insurance." "What do you mean, insurance?" Victoria looked around to make sure no one was listening. "If I run, if I go to the police, if I do anything he doesn't approve, he'll kill you. He has someone watching you right now, Dad. He showed me photos of you at the hotel, photos of you meeting Dorothy. He knows everything you've been doing." The ground seemed to tilt under my feet. "He's been watching me. He has connections, people who owe him favors. He told me that if I don't cooperate, you'll have an accident just like the others. Dad, I can't risk it. I'd rather live like this forever than watch you die. Victoria, listen to me. We can't give in to his threats." My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I opened it, and my blood turned to ice. It was a photo of me. Taken just seconds ago, standing in the grocery store with Victoria. The message below it read, "Take your daughter back to her car and leave. If you don't, your hotel room will catch fire tonight while you sleep. This is your only warning." Victoria saw the text. Tears streamed down her face. "Please, Dad. Please just go. Go back to Singapore. Forget about me. At least you'll be alive." I looked at my daughter, at the desperation in her eyes, and I realized Nathaniel wasn't just dangerous. He was always 3 steps ahead, watching everything, controlling everything. "I'm not leaving you," I said. "Then you're going to die," she whispered, "and it will be my fault." I walked Victoria back to her car, in the grocery store parking lot, my mind racing. Nathaniel had eyes on us. He knew about Dorothy. He had threatened to burn down my hotel room with me inside. This was bigger and more organized than I had imagined. Victoria's hands shook as she put her groceries in the trunk. "You have 24 hours to leave town, Dad. Please, I'm begging you." "I need you to listen to me very carefully," I said quietly, standing close so no cameras could read my lips. "When you get home, act normal. Don't tell Nathaniel anything unusual about this conversation. Can you do that?" She nodded, confused. "What are you planning? Trust me. One more thing. Does he ever leave you alone in the house, even for an hour?" Victoria thought about it. "Friday mornings. He plays tennis at the country club from 9 to 11. He's obsessed with his tennis game. He never misses it. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, I need you to find any evidence you have about what he's done. Documents, recordings, anything. Hide it somewhere outside the house where I can find it. Can you do that?" "Dad, if he catches me..." "He won't. You're smarter than him, Victoria. You're my daughter. You've survived 3 years with a killer. You can do this." She closed her trunk and looked at me with something I hadn't seen in her eyes before. Determination. The loose brick in the back garden wall. 3rd from the left, bottom row. I'll put everything there. I love you, baby girl. I love you too, Dad. She drove away, and I went back to my hotel, half expecting it to explode the moment I walked in. It didn't. But I couldn't stay there. If Nathaniel knew where I was, nowhere was safe. I checked out of the Marriott and found a small motel on the edge of town. I paid cash and used a fake name. Then I called Grace Hughes in Denver. "I need you to contact the police in Denver and tell them everything about your sister's death," I said. "Tell them about Nathan Rutherford. Tell them you have new information that he's currently living under a false identity and is about to kill again." "Will they listen?" "I don't know. But we need to try everything." Next, I called Dorothy Chambers. "I need a favor. Tomorrow morning at 9, can you watch Victoria's house? If you see Nathaniel leave, call me immediately." "Of course. What are you planning?" "I'm going to get evidence that proves what he is. Then we're going to bury him." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my cheap motel room with a baseball bat I'd bought at a sporting goods store, waiting for someone to break down the door. No one came. At 8:30 the next morning, I was parked 2 blocks from Victoria's house. At 8:55, Dorothy called. "He just left in his Mercedes. White polo shirt, tennis bag. He's heading toward the country club." "Thank you, Dorothy." I gave it 5 more minutes to make sure he wasn't coming back. Then I drove to Victoria's house. I parked around the corner and walked through the neighbor's yard to reach Victoria's back garden. The wall was there, just like she said. 3rd brick from the left, bottom row. I pulled it out. Behind it was a manila envelope, stuffed thick with papers. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside were bank statements showing Nathaniel had drained Victoria's accounts over the past 2 years. Transfer records. Forged documents where Victoria had supposedly signed over power of attorney. But there was more. Much more. Victoria had printed out emails from Nathaniel's computer. Emails to someone named Felix Moreno discussing cleaning up loose ends and making arrangements for the next relocation. There were photos, too. Photos of other women I didn't recognize. And then I found it. A handwritten letter from Victoria, dated 6 months ago, explaining everything. Dad, if you're reading this, then I finally found a way to get this to you. Nathaniel isn't just a con artist. He's part of something bigger. Felix Moreno is his partner. They've been doing this for 15 years, not 8. They have at least 7 victims I know about, maybe more. They kill wealthy women, steal their assets, and move on. Nathaniel handles the seduction and murder. Felix handles the identity changes and money laundering. I discovered this about a year after we got married. I found his computer unlocked one day and saw everything. He caught me looking at it. That's when everything changed. He told me if I went to the police, he'd kill you. He showed me photos of you in Singapore. He said his people could get to you anywhere in the world. So I've been playing along, pretending to be the obedient wife while gathering evidence. I've been copying his files, recording conversations, documenting everything. But Dad, I'm running out of time. He's been talking about retirement lately. I think he's planning to kill me soon and disappear with Felix to South America. They've been buying property in Argentina under fake names. If something happens to me, please use this evidence to stop them. Don't let me be just another accident. I stood in that garden, reading my daughter's words, and I realized she had been fighting back all along. She wasn't a victim waiting to be rescued. She was a survivor, gathering ammunition for the war she knew was coming. I took the envelope and ran back to my car. I had evidence now. Real evidence. I drove straight to the police station and asked for the detective division. A tired-looking detective named Roger Walsh listened to my story. He looked through the documents. His expression changed from skeptical to serious. "Mr. Fletcher, this is substantial, but I need to be honest with you. Making an arrest based on this will take time. We'll need to verify everything, coordinate with other jurisdictions. This could take weeks. My daughter doesn't have weeks. He's planning to kill her." Walsh nodded. "I understand. Let me make some calls. In the meantime, I want you to stay somewhere safe. If this Nathaniel Ross or Nathan Rutherford, or whoever he really is, knows you have this evidence, you're in danger too." I went back to my motel and waited. Hours passed. Dorothy called to tell me Nathaniel had returned from tennis at 11:15. Everything seemed normal at the house. At 4 p.m., Detective Walsh called me. "We've got a situation. We contacted Denver PD about the Carolyn Hughes case. They pulled the file and found something interesting. Nathan Rutherford had a plane ticket to Buenos Aires purchased for 3 days after Carolyn's death. He never used it because the police investigation delayed him. But Mr. Fletcher, I just got a notification. Nathaniel Ross purchased 2 tickets to Buenos Aires. Departure tomorrow night at 10 p.m. 2 tickets. He was taking Victoria with him. "What are we going to do?" I asked. "We're going to arrest him at the airport. We've coordinated with airport security. Let him think he's getting away. Let him bring your daughter. We'll have officers waiting at the security checkpoint. It's safer than trying to grab him at the house where he might have weapons or a hostage situation. You're using my daughter as bait. Your daughter is the key witness, and according to the evidence she gathered, she's strong enough to handle this. Trust her, Mr. Fletcher. Trust that she knows what she's doing." The next day was the longest of my life. I wanted to call Victoria, to warn her, but I couldn't risk it. If Nathaniel suspected anything, he might change his plans or hurt her. At 6 p.m., Dorothy called. They just left the house. 2 suitcases. Victoria looked calm. They're driving toward the airport. I was already in my car. Detective Walsh had given me clearance to be at the airport, as long as I stayed out of sight. I arrived before them and positioned myself in a coffee shop with a view of the security checkpoint. plainclothes officers were scattered throughout the terminal. Everything was in place. At 8:45 I saw them. Nathaniel was walking fast, pulling a suitcase. Victoria was beside him, also pulling a suitcase. They got in line for security. Nathaniel kept looking around nervously. He sensed something was wrong. Predators always do. They reached the security checkpoint. Nathaniel handed over his ticket and passport. The TSA agent looked at it, then looked at him. That's when everything happened at once. Officers moved in from 4 directions. "Nathaniel Ross, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and suspicion of murder. Put your hands where we can see them." Nathaniel's face went white, then red. Then he did something I didn't expect. He grabbed Victoria and pulled her close, wrapping his arm around her throat. "Back off!" he screamed. "Back off, or I'll kill her right here." The officers froze. Travelers around them scattered, screaming. Victoria's eyes were wide with fear. But then I saw something else. She caught my eye across the terminal, and she winked. Then she went completely limp in Nathaniel's arms. Dead weight. He wasn't expecting it, and his grip loosened for just a second. Victoria dropped straight down and rolled away. In that moment of confusion, 3 officers tackled Nathaniel to the ground. It was over in seconds. They had him in handcuffs. He was screaming about lawyers and false arrest. But no one was listening. Victoria stood up, brushed herself off, and walked calmly over to Detective Walsh. "I have something else for you," she said, pulling a small recording device from her pocket. 3 years of recorded conversations. Everything you need is on here. Walsh stared at her in amazement. "You've been recording him for 3 years. Every single day. He never found it. I hid it in a hollowed-out book on the shelf. He never reads." I ran to her and pulled her into a hug. She was shaking, but she was safe. She was alive. She was free. "You did it, baby girl. You actually did it." "We did it, Dad. I couldn't have gotten this evidence to the police without you." Over the next few weeks, the full story came out. Nathaniel Ross was actually Nathan Rutherford, who was actually Nathan Pritchard, who was actually born as Neil Richmond. He had been killing vulnerable women for 17 years. Felix Moreno was arrested in Argentina. They found evidence of 9 murders, 9 women who had died in accidents, so Nathan and Felix could steal their assets. Victoria testified at the grand jury. Nathan and Felix were both indicted on multiple counts of murder, fraud, and conspiracy. The trial would take years, but the evidence Victoria had gathered made conviction almost certain. A month after Nathan's arrest, I was helping Victoria move out of the house. She couldn't live there anymore. Too many bad memories. She was selling it and starting over in a new city. "I got a job offer," she said as we packed boxes. "A non-profit that helps victims of domestic violence and coercive control. They want me to speak to other survivors, to show them they're not powerless." "That's perfect for you." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Dad, I need to tell you something. Something I didn't put in my letter or tell the police." My stomach tightened. "What is it?" Victoria took a deep breath. "For the first 6 months with Nathan, before I knew what he really was, I was happy. I loved him. When I found out the truth, part of me still loved him. Even when I was afraid, even when I was gathering evidence to put him in prison, there was this tiny piece of me that wanted him to be different, that wanted the man I fell in love with to be real." She started crying. "I know it doesn't make sense. I know he's a monster. But I can't just erase what I felt. And that's the part that haunts me. Not the fear, not the captivity. The fact that I loved someone who never existed. That I wasted 3 years of my life on a ghost. I held her while she cried. This was the real cost of Nathan's crimes. Not just the stolen money or the years of fear, but the emotional damage that would take far longer to heal than any physical wound. You didn't waste those years, I said gently. You survived. You fought back in the smartest way possible. You saved yourself and probably saved future victims too. That's not wasted time. That's heroism. It doesn't feel heroic. It feels like I failed somehow, like I should have seen through him sooner, like I should have been stronger. Victoria, you were strong. You were strong every single day for 3 years, and you're still here. That's what matters. She nodded, wiping her tears. I know. I just wish I could go back to who I was before I met him. The girl who trusted people, who believed in love. He didn't just steal my money and my time. He stole my ability to trust myself. We finished packing in silence. As we loaded the last box into the moving truck, Victoria turned to me. Dad, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't put your life on hold for me. Don't stay in the States just to watch over me. I know you loved Singapore. I know you had friends there, a life. I'll be okay. I have therapy lined up. I have the new job. I have Dorothy, who's become like a second mother to me. You saved me. Now let me save myself the rest of the way. The words hurt because they were true. I had been planning to stay nearby, to be her constant support. But she was right. She needed space to rebuild her identity, and I needed to trust that she could do it. I'll go back, I said, but I'm visiting every 3 months, non-negotiable. She laughed, a real laugh. Deal. 3 months later, I was back in Singapore. Victoria and I video-called every week, just like the old days. She seemed lighter now, more like herself. She was speaking at conferences about coercive control. She had published an article about her experience that went viral. She was turning her nightmare into purpose. But sometimes, late at night in Singapore, I thought about those 3 words she mouthed through the window. He kills people. I thought about how close I came to losing her forever. I thought about the 9 women who didn't survive Nathan Richmond's carefully constructed lies. And I thought about Victoria's confession in that empty house, about how she had loved a monster, about how the scars he left weren't just on her body or her bank account, but deep in her soul, where they would take years to heal. We won. Nathan was in prison awaiting trial. Felix was in prison. Victoria was free and building a new life. By any measure, we had achieved victory, but victory had come at a price neither of us had fully anticipated. Victoria had lost 3 years and her ability to trust. I had lost the illusion that I could protect my daughter from every danger. And both of us had learned that sometimes the people we love most have to fight their own battles, even when we desperately want to fight them for them. The house sold a month after Victoria moved out. A young couple bought it, excited about their first home. They had no idea what had happened inside those walls. Maybe that was for the best. The house would have new memories now. Better memories. As for Victoria and me, we were rebuilding. Slowly, carefully, with the patience that comes from knowing some wounds don't heal quickly. We were survivors, both of us. And sometimes, that's the most you can ask for. Thanks for listening to this story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories like this. Where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments.